Alrighty, welcome to another lesson of Pro Mandarin. We're going to go ahead and look at how to open and shut things in Chinese. But before we do that, you're probably wondering, can I learn all this Chinese in one video? Well, let's find out. So we're going to be exploring the use of ba when we're using these different nouns and verbs and whatnot. But before we do that, we're going to first start out with our most common way of saying open or to turn things on. So the way that we would say to open or to turn on something is 打开, or sometimes just simply 开. Now for some of these items that you can use either one for, it would be 电脑, which is computer, 冰箱, which is refrigerator, 灯, which is light, and 门, which is door. And then the way to say shut these things is 关. So the way we would do this is we'd say 打开电脑 or 开电脑, which is to turn on the computer, or 关电脑, which is to turn off the computer, and so on. All right, we're going to add in some pronouns right now. If you're already familiar with the pronouns in Chinese, feel free to skip ahead now. If you're not familiar with them or you'd like to get a little extra practice with them, go ahead and stick around for this part. So first we have 我, which means I or me. Then we have 你, which means you. Then we have 他, which means he or him, as well as 她, which means she or her. All right, welcome back for those that skipped the pronoun section of this lesson. All right, so for the next column, we're going to use the word 能, which is can, meaning to be able to do something. 可以, which is can as far as you may or may not do something, or if you're allowed to or you're not allowed to. And then 已经, which means already. All right, now for this next word, if you're already familiar with le, you can go ahead and skip ahead here. But for those that don't know what it means or how to use it, go ahead and stick around so you can understand a little bit more about this word. Now, le has a lot of different meanings, but for the lesson today, we're just going to use it for meaning something that's already happened. So it could have happened today, it could have happened yesterday, or just happened. But the fact is that it's something that's somewhat in the past tense, like it's been completed. So for now, just think of it that way. Instead of trying to figure out how to conjugate verbs, which is something you don't do in Chinese, we're just going to use le to help us know that something's happened. Now, anytime we use 要 or 需要 or 想要, 能 or 可以, we're not going to use it there. All right, cool. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. All right, now I'm going to give you a couple examples and then I'll get you some practice in as well. So the first example is I can open the door, as in like I'm allowed to open the door, or I may open the door, that kind of can. I would say 我可以打开门. This 可以 is typically used as may or may not, as in you're allowed to, but it could also be being able to, just like 能 is. So in order to say I can open the door, you would say 我可以打开门. Now, the way that you would say he is able to turn on the light, or he can turn on the light, you would say 他能打开灯. Now, for the sake of this lesson, just think of it as that he is physically able to turn on the light. Now, suppose somebody told you to open the fridge and you said, I already opened the fridge. How would you say that? 我已经打开了冰箱. 我已经打开了冰箱. Now, how would you say you can shut the door, as in you may shut the door? 你可以关门. 你可以关门. Now we're going to add the question word ma at the end to make it a yes or no question. And in order to do that, Chinese typically put the le just before ma, so it becomes le ma. So we're going to shift the position of le to the end just before ma. So if we were to ask a question, is he able to turn off the computer? We would say 他能关电脑吗?他能关电脑吗? If you were to say, did he already turn off the computer? Now the way you would ask that is 他已经关电脑了吗?他已经关电脑了吗? So with that, how would you ask, did you already shut the fridge? 你已经关冰箱了吗?你已经关冰箱了吗? All right, before we move on, let's do one last example here. How would we ask, can she open the door? As in, may she open the door? Maybe it's too hot and stuffy, not necessarily trying to find out if she has the ability to open the door, like it's too heavy or something like that. So how would you say that? 她可以打开门吗?她可以打开门吗? Okay, before we move on, actually, let me give you just a couple more quick examples based on this last one. Instead of saying, can she open the door, we're going to ask, did she already open the door? So how would you say that then? 她已经打开门了吗? Alright, but now we're going to do one extra thing. We're going to just go ahead and drop off the 已经 and see what that means. So if we say, 她打开门了吗? 她打开门了吗? Then what we're saying is, did she open the door? So it's very similar to, did she already open the door, or did she open the door? Either way. So you can say 已经 in this case, or you could leave it off. Depends on what you're trying to say there. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and move on to part 2. But before we do that, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. It really helps me out so I can continue to make quality content like this video. Alright, now back to the lesson. And what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the 能, 可以, and 已经, and we're going to move some stuff over here. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to flip-flop this 打开 and 关 and the noun category. We're going to swap those two real quick. And we're going to go ahead and add in the word 把. Now, the way 把 works is that it pulls the nouns right behind it, and then you say the verb afterwards. That's it. Nothing too complicated. However, we're going to add in a couple other little things here. We're going to add in 上 over here, and then we have the other one, 调. Now, typically for these electrical items, we're going to say 调 with it, and then with items that we actually need to shut, like let's say the refrigerator or the door, then we're going to say 上. So instead of just saying 把冰箱关, we're going to say 把冰箱关上. This is how you tell someone to shut the fridge, by the way. And instead of saying 把灯关, we're going to say 把灯关掉, which is how you tell someone to turn off the light. Okay, now using this method, how would you say, did you turn on the light? 你把灯打开了吗? 你把灯打开了吗? Now, in order to tell somebody to do something, you don't actually need to use 你 to start off the sentence. So how would you say, shut the fridge? 把冰箱关上. 把冰箱关上. Again, remember, the 上 is used for items that you can close, and then 调 is used for items that can be turned off, whereas 打开 is used for both of them as far as turning it on or opening it up. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and move on. Now, how would you say she shut the door? 她把门关上了. 她把门关上了. Now, although I did show you before where you could put 已经, which is towards the beginning, right after the pronouns or something like that, but in this case, sometimes I've even heard them throw it at the very end of a sentence, like 她把门关上了已经. It's not typically the way that you would say it, but that is sometimes how they will say it, though. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in some time frames real quick over here. So first we have 今天, which is today, 明天, tomorrow, 昨天, yesterday, and 刚 or 刚刚, which means just, as in just happened. And then we're also going to use 要, which is want to or gonna, so wanna or gonna, 需要, need to, and 想 or 想要, which means would like to. Now with this format, I'm going to give you an example here first. The way I would say, I was gonna open the refrigerator yesterday. Now there would be more to the sentence, but something happened or whatever. But in this case, we're just going to go ahead and finish it off with this, just so we can have a way of saying this thing based on what we have right here. This will let you know in the past tense when you use 要, 需要, or 想要, that you're not done speaking yet. You have more that you would like to say about that situation. So the way you would say that is 我昨天要把冰箱打开. 我昨天要把冰箱打开. Okay, so this next one I'm going to ask you, how would you say, would you like to open the door? 你想要把门打开吗? 你想要把门打开吗? Now how would you ask, did he just turn on the light? 他刚刚把灯打开了吗? 他刚刚把灯打开了吗? Now how would you ask, did she shut the fridge yesterday? 他昨天把冰箱关上了吗? 他昨天把冰箱关上了吗? Now maybe the computer was on this morning and you're thinking, wait a second, did she turn off the computer yesterday? How would you ask that? 他昨天把电脑关掉了吗? 他昨天 把电脑关掉了吗? Now for this last example, I'm going to add in one other way that you can actually talk about turning off electronics specifically, such as the computer. Instead of 关掉, which could be used for computer or a light, instead if you're talking about electronics, you can say guānjī. So in this case, if we're going to ask, did she turn off the computer yesterday? We would ask, 她昨天把电脑关机了吗? 她昨天把电脑关机了吗? Well, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and haven't 点赞 or 订阅 yet, please do so now. Or in other words, please like and subscribe. Also, if you like this video and you feel you need more practice, feel free to rewatch this video as many times as you need. And if you feel ready to move on, then check out the other videos on this channel as well. I promise you'll be speaking Mandarin fluently in no time. And until next time, 下次见.